I seen her when I got home from England. I was over there with Bradovich. It was an impressive win. The kid was durable, very tough, and needed to go rounds too. He's going to learn more from that fight than if he would have knocked the guy out in one round. So it's a good learning experience, but we still got time. With Neno, he's very young. He's still developing, and he could already fight big names, but there's no need for that. We got to take him slowly. I think he can still fight one more year of 6 and 8 rounders before anything big. He's a young kid. We don't need to rush him.
Robert, what do you think about all these catchweights going on right now? So catchweight for the Cotto fight, there's a catchweight for Porter, Broner. How are you on point with them? Do you think they really do affect fighters having to drain down a couple extra pounds?
It definitely does, man. And when you're the big name, you call the shots. You could say, Cotto has done it, Pacquiao has done it, Mayweather has done it. Those are the guys that could do it. The big names, the names that the opponent does it because he wants that fight, that big name, that big fight, that big payday. So they have to. I could say it's not supposed to, but they do call the shots. Cotto's a big name, and whoever he fights is gonna fight under his terms. Mayweather can't say he calls shots not only with his opponents but commission and judges and refs and everything. He calls the shots. Pacquiao was at that. He was there a few years ago, and he made a lot of fighters drain themselves. And by the time the fight comes, they can't recover. They just don't have the time and the time enough to get back to their normal weight. So it does affect them. It does give them that big advantage.
You've been in there with Broner. What do you think about this fight with Porter? A lot of people think it's a dangerous fight for him against a guy who goes forward, puts a lot of pressure on.
It's not an easy fight. It's not an easy fight, and it's gonna be an exciting fight. But I picked Broner to win. He's got tremendous skills, and I've heard that he's training very, very hard. Just that said, I think he wins the fight. It won't be easy, but I think he wins.
Hey Robert, how did you pairing with Julio happen?
Well, it was a surprise to me. I was actually working in my gym in Riverside, putting up the ring, and I got a call from a reporter from Mexico telling me that he had just talked to Julio. I said, you know what, this is not the first time this happened, so I didn't really pay attention to it. So I was working on my ring, and my phone died out. It died. So then late at night when I turned it back on, I had a few messages and a few missed calls from Julio himself. So we talked, and we met last night, and it looks like we'll start training Monday because he knows I have this fight on Saturday, and I told him I need to take care of this fight first. So he gets to Riverside Sunday, so we'll start training Monday.
Was there any concerns on your part training him?
There's always been concerns, especially with all the negative things throughout his career, everything that we've seen on TV and everything that everybody says, but talking to him yesterday and getting to feel the way he's thinking, especially after that loss, it looks like he's gonna do things right. Our conversations were all yes, whatever you want to do, however you want it. We talked about sparring, we talked about running, training in the mornings, training doing the boxing at nights, in the evenings, and he was okay with everything. He said, yeah, he's coming. Main thing is coming to my gym. It's not like he wants me to go to his house and train in his backyard. So he seemed to understand that he needs to do something different and better for his own good, or else he's always going to be the guy that could have been great.
How do you feel you can make him better?
I've always said it, man. Since I've seen him growing up, fighting in the pros, I've always said that that he had a lot of potential. He's got a tremendous heart, tremendous chin, great power. He just needs to work on little things, that I need to do. That's my job now. He's those things he already has. Now I need to work on little things. Teach him new things that he needs to learn, and that I want him to do, so we could show what he really is about.
The main thing about him you could tell like on his Instagram and stuff like that, he looks like he's serious, and you could say a part of it is because of the loss, part of it because he just became a dad too. But his dad made a comment that like, you're not training like a full-time fighter, and he mentioned what you mentioned, like training at home sometimes, and just to get him in the gym and really get more of a regimen down.
See, I think things happen for a reason, and I'm not saying I'm happy that he lost, because I've always been a fan and actually a friend of him. I come before his last fight, he would call me over. I would come to his house. We stay up to 2, 3 in the morning just talking, because that has happened before. He's a good dude. He's a good friend of mine. So I'm not happy that he lost, but things do happen for a reason. I think that was something like that had to happen for him to open his eyes and say, you know what, I need to do things right. One thing that I've told him and a lot of my fighters is, you guys are special. You guys are different. You guys are not your normal friends that could go out, have fun, and drink and party and then come back and become a world champion. You're different. You're special. I told him, you have to realize that your next 3 or 4 years have to be 100% boxing. If you don't give it 100% boxing, then you're never gonna be the person that you need to be. 10 years from now, you're gonna regret it and say, I should have done it. I should have done that those 4 years, because in 4 years, he could have 12, 15 fights if he stays busy and make a lot of money, where he doesn't have to worry about anything for the rest of his life. His kids, his family, could be very, very, very well taken care of. But if he doesn't, 10 years from now, he's gonna try to make a comeback, or he's gonna find a way to make some money. A lot of fighters start doing things that they're not supposed to make money, or they end up getting into drugs. We've seen that happen many times, and I hate to see something like that happen to a great fighter like Julio. So I had to give him that talk too. Me as a trainer is not only just to teach him how to fight, but also give him good advice and make him understand what a boxer's life really is, because we know 70% of the boxers' lives end up broke, and maybe even more. I'm saying 70, maybe 80, 90 end up broke, and very few are the ones that could live the rest of their lives comfortably. You hardly ever see that.
Robert, what do you see in him that makes him great?
He has skills he's always had, little things that I want to work on, of course, that I might teach him. But he's got a tremendous heart, great power, a great chin. So right there, those things itself is something that nobody can give you. He already has. The little things that I'm going to teach him are things that, that's my job to teach him. How to use his jab a little more, how to stand a little bit more sideways instead of just too squared off in front of his opponent. He's tall. Use your long, straight shots. Why get in there and go at the level that your opponent is, where your opponent wants you? Why do that? He needs to, learn those little things. That's my job. The rest, I can't give him a heart. I can't give him a punch. I can't give him a chin. But he already has it. So those are big advantages there. Very few fighters have all those important things. Very few fighters have that.
160 or 168?
I think 168 to start off. The next couple of fights going to be 168.
You actually met him at this gym when you brought Eddie to spar.
Well, I had already met him before, but yeah, we came and we were helping him up for sparring with Eddie Alicia, and they had tremendous sparring. He was actually working out hard. Those were the only times I've seen him train, and of course, everything that we've heard. He doesn't like to train. He trains at 2 in the morning in his house, stuff like that. I've heard that. But the times that I've seen him train here in this gym, he trained hard. Last night, he trained hard, in his house, but he trained hard. So now it's time for him to do, in the gym, follow instructions and do what he's supposed to. He said he hardly ever likes to spar, but he says, but I'm going to spar as many times as you want me to spar. That's already saying something good,
Did you speak to Senior by chance?
No, Senior wasn't there. It was just him and his wife and, his mom was there. That was about it. The guys that are working with him, his assistants, that was there.
Senior is a hands-on father, to say the least. Are you at all concerned about him coming into camp or interrupting the kind of style that you have as a trainer?
I've thought about it, but for that, I also have my dad too. My dad that, he's always been actually probably one of my worst critics. He's always, you need this, you need that. He always wants to tell me what I'm doing wrong and never what I'm doing good. You know what I mean? But I think it's been good. It's been something that's helped me. I don't think it's helped Chavez, because with my dad, I hear it and I want to improve it and I want to get better at it. With Chavez, I think he does the opposite just to get his dad mad. So yeah, I am a little concerned, but if, when he shows up, and if he ever, if I ever see something that I'm not very happy, I'm gonna have to talk to him or talk to the son and tell him, look, just listen, and we have our game plan, we have our way of training. Listen to your dad, because I used to have to respect your dad. So we'll figure it out when that moment comes. Right now, I think what Chavez has done is the opposite of what the dad tells him to do, and I'm sure the dad wants the best for him, but that's his mentality. Young kids, they want to do the opposite that they're told, and I think that's the problem with them. With me, like I tell you, I use that to learn when my dad tells me that. But it's just people are different.
Marcos Maidana, you guys had, I don't know if I could call it father-son type of relationship, but you were definitely a mentor, you were close. In his off time, he seems to have carried a lot of weight. Is he really still eager to be a fighter and be in the ring, or did he get his payday and he's kind of done?
Look, after his fight, he had three fights in 9 months, which is the Broner and the two Mayweather fights. I think he rightfully earned some time off. Maidana has always been the type of fighter who's not very excited about boxing. He doesn't follow boxing. He doesn't really, most of the time, he doesn't even know who his opponents are or doesn't do any studying. And he earned some time off. If it's a year, rightfully so. But he did gain a little too much weight, and that kind of tells me he really doesn't want to do it again. And I don't blame him either, because he never had that love for the sport either. So I am a little worried when he comes back, to try to lose so much weight, and in 2 or 3 months it's going to be almost impossible. So I am a little worried. I haven't talked to him, I gave, after those fights, I gave him his space. Enjoy your wife. He got married. He's got his family. Enjoy life. Enjoy your country. He's been a little more careful with his weight, but what can I say? I just let him be himself. He needed that. He wanted that. I couldn't be on top of him. Watch your weight. You better be running. I didn't want to do that. I could do that to Brandon, and I could pick up Brandon and take him running. I could do that with Mikey because they're here. But he's somebody different. I let him be himself. We're still gonna support him whenever, if he ever wants to come back to fight again. I'm going to support him, but we're going to need some time. and it's not going to be easy.
You mentioned Brandon Rios. He's somebody who always wants to do it again. But this, down the road in his career now, and the kind of fights that he's been in, the kind of fights that are out there for him are also very punishing. Are you getting concerned at all about when it's time for him to start thinking about hanging it up?
We already know, and I've already talked about it, even with Brandon himself. We've already talked about it. Brandon loves to fight, and Brandon loves to get into it. But right now he's still healthy. We still don't, the way he talks, the way he acts, he's been like that since he was a kid. Brandon's always been like that since he was a kid. Brandon is the fighter that could take those type of fights, that loves to take those fights. That's the way he is. He's gonna be healthy when he retires. But the fights are tough. The fights are getting tougher. He had a good win against Alvarado, so that's something good. Hopefully we get another fight sometime in this summer, and that's what it looks like. So we're excited. Brandon just wants to fight the best, man. Brandon wants to fight the best, and when it's time, I'm gonna tell him, man. He's gonna believe me. He's gonna understand me, and he's gonna agree to what I say.